So, I'm excited to be here and also challenged. The excitement is, this subject is one I'm most passionate about of all the things that I communicate or worked on or focused on in my life. And that's because I believe if you're not happy in your intimate relationship, you're not happy. Because no matter what happens, no matter how much love we have from our children or how much we accomplish in our lives and how much we achieve, you know, I personally believe in our soul, everybody wants that experience of aliveness. So I'm not just about marriages. I had 4 different fathers, so I know the impact that things can come from being in a position where families don't stay together. But frankly, I wouldn't have changed it. You know, to see my mother miserable and unhappy, to stay with somebody, which is what she did with one of those relationships for 10 years, I wouldn't want to see her do again. So I'm not for the institution by itself. I'm not for the relationship. I'm for the people in it. And what I really believe, though, is it's a critically important institution, and I've supported it amazingly, but I want to make sure that the people within it don't just settle for being able to say, I'm still married. To me, that's not an accomplishment. You know, I really don't. And I say that also because, you know, that sense of aliveness affects your kids as much as anything else as well. And so I really believe that any relationship can be brought to love and passion again. But the challenge, of course, is that most people today have a perspective, an expectation, where the highest standard they have is not for themselves, but what they expect from their partner. And I think that's the number one reversal that has to occur in any relationship for things to transform. That as long as we're looking at what am I getting out of a relationship, then we're going to be disappointed, we're going to be frustrated, we're going to have challenges. And so my view of things is to shift that with people, and to do it in a very practical way is to really shift both parties, but also I focus on both male and female. But it is true that most men I really do care, but they're not armed with the understanding of females. But I think understanding that and being actually applying it in an impactful way are 2 different things. And I think the awareness is the first step, but then training yourself so you can feel successful, because most men, and I think to some extent a great deal of women today, do not feel like this is an area they can be successful in. When you talk to people about the areas of their life that they feel strongest in, you'll almost always find they're stronger in their career, they're stronger in their relationship with their kids, they're stronger even in their body than they are in their relationship. And it's because it's so difficult when you're dealing with a person who is, you know, got all these energies and thoughts and feelings that are completely different than you. And simultaneously, you know, you have a love for them, but also you're facing the deep fear that everybody has underneath. And that fear is that love won't last. And when that happens, people start to really break up inside. So what I thought, you know, my excitement is to talk about the subject and to really try and serve you. My challenge is, the shortest seminar I usually do is 50 hours, 50. Because I don't believe in getting up and just speaking and sharing a principle or something like that. What I really believe in is doing it. So I'll take people in a weekend and we'll talk about the principle, and then boom, we go after it so that it gets in your body. We do it enough times till you're doing it, you're not just thinking it. So, you know, the short little time we have here doesn't come close to that. But I think I've got a format of some things I can introduce you to. So first, I want to thank you for the privilege to be here. Second, I'll tell you in advance that I'm going to try and cover a lot of terrain in a short period of time. But also, in doing so, I'd like to make it more active. And what I mean by that is, when I look around and I see the challenges that most people have in relationship, I think the number one challenge is something I've seen for 30 years. And I don't just see it in relationship. I've always wanted to know the answer to a question. I've been obsessed by the question of what makes the difference in people's lives. You know, I grew up very poor. I'm talking to my 4th father, and I'm saying, Mom, I'm confused. You know, I was not popular in school. I loved people. So I was passionate about figuring out what's the difference in people. You know, why is it that some people are given everything? You know, the type, they really do have parents that love them, that are there for them. They have tremendous educational background. They have all the economic resources, and they end up spending their life going in and out of a rehab. You know, they had all the resources. And then you meet somebody who's been, you know, abused, or no one's been there for them, or they've been physically abused or sexually abused, or the worst things you could possibly happen to a human being. And they turn out to be some of the finest human beings you'd ever meet in your life, who are out there working to help other people and make a difference. So we all want to believe that our lives have turned out because of our biography. And the reality is we can all find people with a horrible biography who have an extraordinary life, and we have people with an extraordinary biography who have a life that none of us would want to trade with. So what's the real challenge? And I believe that the challenge in relationships and in life, in every area, is emotional fitness. That it starts with how emotionally fit you are in a relationship. And there are patterns that I said, think about a relationship where you have unbelievable love for this person and you constantly are starving, hungry for each other intimately as well. Make the sound of what that sounds like in your body when you have love and passion. Go nice and loud, come on. Oh, come on, has it been that long? Make the sound of a relationship where there's lots of love but not enough passion. Make that sound. See, when you talk about a relationship with love but not enough passion, it doesn't seem like that big a deal. But sound is a great way to calibrate what's really happening in your nervous system. What I found in my life for years, I had a relationship with someone who was a great lady, and we had tons of love, but very little passion, and I wanted more passion. But I didn't understand what the triggers were. I didn't understand the differences in values and rules. I didn't know how to shift anything. Nobody teach you this. And so I'd be in this experience where it's like, wow, you know, I remember being on stage vividly in a room that would have been my ultimate years before. It was at the Continental Center in New York City. There were 13,000 people in the room, 12,000 something hundred, almost 13,000 people. And I was doing my gig. And we were rocking, like what we're doing here with 5,000, imagine 13,000. And we were going full tilt with a level of intensity. It was unbelievable. And people were out of their mind. And during one of the stretch breaks, one of my partners came up and told me my company had gone public that morning. And that's the morning where my stock alone was worth $400 million. So he's Tony, you just made $400 million this morning while you're doing what you love. And I was like, shit, good morning. You know, it was a great morning. But you know what was interesting? It was really great. It was like, wow, that's wonderful. And then what I really want to do is get right back into what I loved. It didn't, like it was a cool thing, but it didn't change my life. But the biggest thing is the end of that night, I'm connecting people, high-fiving, signing, hugging people, and it's just a beautiful day. And I get home, and I'd made $400 million. I've been with almost 13,000 people. I'd done what I loved. I was on fire and alive. And I went home and I was miserable. Because when I went home, the person I was with wanted me to be something different than what I was. Kind of like, that's why I understood Sarah May. Sarah May was trying to be something she thinks people want or people are expecting from her, but it's not her. So the person I was in a relationship with, when she met me, he's like, God, he's unbelievable. He's this powerful force of nature. He can shake a building with people and move people. And then it was like, why are you so fucking loud? I was like, loud? This is me, right? And so what I learned to do was be something different that I really wasn't. And so when you're being something you're not, you're miserable. Who knows what I'm talking about here? Say I. And I'm such a lover. I love people. I never want somebody to not be happy. So I would always sacrifice everything to try to make somebody happy, but by not being who I was. There was nothing wrong with her. I was just miserable because I didn't understand the game. When I finally figured this process out, and by the way, guess how I did it? I interviewed people. I had a couple guy was 92, woman's 89, came to my Date with Destiny seminar, and these two were physically all over each other all the time. I mean, so much so it was like, get a room. I mean, this is hard to watch, right? And everybody in the whole seminar noticed it, so I finally brought them on stage and interviewed them. Shit, they're young punks in their 60s. So I bring this 92-year-old man, this 89-year-old woman up, and I said, I got to interview you guys. So I'm interviewing them. I said to him, I said, tell me something. I said, you two seem to not just love each other, you love each other. And they went, oh yeah. I mean, like, you're rather physical, aren't you? They said, oh yes, we love to be together. I said, and you guys have intimate relations? Oh yes, every day. Every day? Sometimes several times a day, the woman says. No exaggeration. And they were so adorable, and they were like all of each other, hugging each other, grabbing each other, touching each other. And I said to him, I said, okay, there are a lot of people that think when you're together 3, 4, 5, 10 years, you know, there's nothing new. They said, nothing new. They just aren't being flexible enough. They're not trying new things. I said, well, tell me something. What's your belief about, like, how do you stay intimate? The woman says, well, you can't just talk. You got to touch. And she said, like, touch lots of things. And she's so adorable. And so I said, so you guys have this passion all the time? Yeah. And I said, what's your belief? And he said, well, we believe that it's never boring because we believe there's nothing ugly between two people who love each other, nothing dirty between two people who love each other. She said, yeah, here's our rule. We try anything once, and if we like it, we do it again. So I spent 5 years interviewing people who've been together 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and they don't just have love, they have passion. They're not hanging out, they love each other, and it changed the game for me. And the biggest change in my life, I would give up everything in my life without no exaggeration, no hyperbole, everything I've ever learned, everything I've ever done for the relationship I have with my sage. She has been I'd die for this woman, no exaggeration, but I couldn't have gotten to that place if I hadn't been through all those other places first. And the gift that I've got in that area is a gift you deserve. And anybody can have it. You could be with somebody together for 10 years and you could reignite it because you just didn't know the triggers. Or some of you may find that you're in a relationship where truthfully, you are nothing in common. You're just scared shitless to end it because you're afraid of being alone. But there's a way to do this in a way where things can be elegant, but you can be free and you can bring to your life what you deserve. I tell people one thing. If you're not happy in your intimate relationship, you're not fucking happy. Because I don't give a shit how hard you work. I don't care how much money you make, how many trophies you get. In the end, if you don't have that aliveness and passion, a part of you is dead inside. And it doesn't have to be that way. And I got to tell you something. Some of you maybe seen some of the films of the people I've turned around who hate each other, want to kill each other, been together forever, have no attraction. And we don't just change them in that moment. We follow up. You see them a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later. They never go back because we rewire it. And Date with Destiny. Oh, I got some people who graduate Date with Destiny. Wow. Some grads of Date with Destiny here. Date with Destiny is that program I described this morning when I was talking about Dickens and I talked about going to Fiji and I had that process of coming up with that process. Well, I turned that into a 5.5-day process that what Date with Destiny does is it basically, we worked our tail off here. You got to use a lot of physical energy to deal with your beliefs. Your values, you'll never get through with physical energy. You have to know, it's almost like a puzzle. You have to know exactly what thing triggers what feeling, triggers what emotion. And until you know that, you're at the effect of everything in your life. What Date with Destiny does is it helps you get a plan for your life. Not a plan like scribbling it out, I have to live a certain way, but you begin to see how to take the different parts of you that have inner conflicts and align those parts so you're pulled exactly where you want to go. It is by far the most powerful thing I do, bar none. And the experience in those 5.5 days is like nothing you've experienced in your life because you're going to discover and basically learn how to trigger everything that controls every thought, every feeling, emotion in your life. And after about 4.5 days of doing this, where you now have complete mastery over your own life, then we bring in intimate relationship into it. Because what happens is, you get somebody that really has problems, and they put them with somebody else who loves them, who also have problems, you got big problems. Once you got yourself wired, now you can figure out how to create a relationship at the level you want. So, here's what I want you to know. How many of you would like to go to the next level of this process? Say aye. Then you got to deal with the two issues that always show up, time and money. Here's what I'll do. I'll handle the money side from my guarantee. You can go to anything I teach, half of it, if in your judgment it isn't the best frickin' thing you've ever done in your life, so you don't have to wonder, like, is his weekend the most he can do? This is nothing compared to where we're going. But you be the judge. You can get it all back. So you can go home if you decide to do this and tell somebody, I'm going to steal from him. I'm going to go half the program and take it all for free. You won't. It'll transform you. So that's number one. So you don't have to have any fear or wondering, is it worth it to you? Or am I taking a financial risk? Zero financial risk. But you're going to have to come up with figuring out how to change and get through the time. School teachers, owners of businesses, whatever. But what I'll tell you is, it'll transform your life. This is the time you make an investment in yourself that'll go beyond anything you can imagine. Let me tell you about Date with Destiny. Here's what I'll tell you. Go. Go. Trust. If you trust me at all, if I did not betray your trust here, tell you, go. So don't miss out on this piece. Date with Destiny, marketing and Sage.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Listen, we just want to reach out this week and remind you what you already know, and that is no matter how stressful your life can be, whether it be the economy or kids or your business, ultimately what makes you feel alive is love. Love and passion together.
We're incredibly passionate about this subject, and love is something that you certainly just don't take for granted, and something that you consciously create every moment, every day of your life. And we're proud to say that we have 12 beautiful years together. Yeah. So we're just here to share some fun tidbits with you.
So it's actually our 12th anniversary, and one of the things that we found is we meet couples, and very often people say, you guys seem like, you're newlyweds, or they'll ask us, did you guys just get married, which we're really proud of after 12 years. Mm-hmm. But it's not a matter of time that makes that difference. If you're single, one of the reasons that people find themselves in a relationship that they're unhappy with is they're filtering today's relationship through the past. And one of the things that we've done for anybody we're going to help is get you to clear the decks of the past and step into who you're with right here and right now. That can start to create a difference. Because in the beginning of a relationship, what were you willing to do for that person? Anything, right? Anything, whatever it takes. Now after a few months or a few weeks or a few years, all of a sudden you're saying, would you take out the trash? And in the beginning you're like, whatever you want, the trash, I'm happy to do it for you. Now it's like, what do I look like, your janitor? So learning how to be able to create that aliveness again and not filter your partner through an old story is one of the most important things you can do to have a passionate relationship.
It's true in that, the love and the passion, that intimacy happens in this moment. And this moment that's transpiring right now is the only thing that's real. So giving your partner the gift of living in today and living in this moment and creating something that's magical and beautiful from this place, there's no greater gift.
I also think that if you think about it in the very beginning of a relationship, the very things you're most attracted to, very often when the relationship goes bad, you reject the things that you loved. In the beginning you may have been very, enticed by this person because they seem very mysterious and quiet, and now you're pissed off that they're quiet all the time. Or in the beginning you thought, wow, I love them because they had so much energy and passion, they just took over the room, and now you're like, why do they have to talk all the damn time? Don't they ever shut up? One of the things that happens in relationships is if we don't realize that what we're attracted to in the other person that we think is so different than us is just another part of ourselves that we're not actively utilizing. And if you don't use your partner to trigger that awakening inside yourself, eventually you resent them because you resent that a part of yourself is being shut down.
And I think you both have, certainly when we first met, there's little crazy pieces that drive each other crazy, but to shift those to actually appreciations. And one of the gifts we certainly give each other is rather than having that irritation, to actually be humored and to be playful about it. So it just breaks the pattern and creates, just brings an aliveness and a playfulness to the relationship.
You like the fact that my wife needs to have, 9 hours of sleep and eat about every 15 minutes.
The fact that my husband only needs actually 4. And I beg him to go to bed at night. After 12 years, that's still something that transpires in our daily life of our relationship. Me begging for sleep and food.
Yes, I know. But anyway, here's our point. If you want to have an extraordinary relationship, it really requires you to get outside of yourself. We all know that. When you really fall in love with somebody, it is really about what can I do for you versus what are you doing for me. The end of a relationship is when you're evaluating what they have done versus what you've done. If you've got a scorecard, you're on your way out. And that doesn't mean it can't be turned around. The heavy of relationship can be eliminated when you step into that mode of giving. And interestingly enough, when people are attracted to each other, though, you don't have these problems. Because when people have that sense of attraction, that energy, that sensuality, that sexuality, what happens is you have filters. You laugh about things that you'd be upset about before. So all the research that we found in our own lives and literally the hundreds of thousands of couples we work with is we can tell you all these things we're talking about, but ultimately you need more passion. Because lots of couples actually have love, but they don't have the level of passion they want, and there's an emptiness, there's a missing energy in their life. And so for us, the secret is really to unleash that again. And so part of what we did on our 7th anniversary is we put together a program called the Ultimate Relationship Program, humbly titled, of course. But it really is the best of what we've learned working with hundreds of thousands of couples, literally, and taking couples from the place of the end to turning them around. Taking people that could never find the right relationship, that are single, saying, all the good ones are gone, and showing them what was going on inside themselves, that when they change that, they're able to immediately get the relationship that they really want by becoming the kind of person that they're looking to attract in their life. Anyway, we created it. It's done on 8 DVD videos and 8 audios. And you can listen to one a week for 8 weeks, or you can listen to one a day, literally for 8 days if you're an immersion person like us. And we think you'll find it fun because it isn't just us talking and sharing with you what to do step by step to either create the relationship you want or revitalize a relationship. But it's really about love and passion and the little triggers that change it all. So I know sometimes it's like, will it really be valuable for me? So during Valentine's Day, we're doing a little special where you can try it risk-free for $15 for 30 days, literally $15. Listen to it, watch the whole thing, and if you don't like it, send it back. But we know it'll be life-changing for you because whether you're married or single, you're going to see real people in real life we're working with and watch the changes and then see what they're like a year later, 2 years later when we follow up to show the differences. So we're really proud of the program, and it seems like the ultimate Valentine's gift you could give yourself or somebody that you really love. But along the subject, though, the next few days we'll send you a few videos that we've done over the last few years with some triggers and some tools, just our little gift to you, whether you do this or not. But we hope you'll look at relationship as something you want to master, not just dabble in. It doesn't just come naturally. Great relationships don't interrupt you. They've got to be pursued. They've got to be created. They've got to be protected. And you've got to keep that passionate part alive. And for those of you that are worried about the economy, which many people are, an interesting study came out from the National Bureau of Economic Research, and they found out by a 2-year study throughout North America, people of all kinds of belief systems and backgrounds, that couples that were having regular sex, to them that was twice a week, that was the equivalent of a $100,000 increase in income in terms of happiness. Literally, couples that were stressed out, if they just increased their sex life, couples that went from once a month having sex to once a week having sex, it was the equivalent of $50,000 of additional income. So if you can't change your income real quick, you could do this a lot quicker. You could have the energy there real quicker. And then there's the health benefits.
There's so many health benefits. It was fun when we were exploring this, actually. There's one through CNN that they just did a recent study. And actually, having sex up to twice a week, it's equivalent of burning, ladies, 50 calories. And over a month's period of time, that's like a 7-mile run.
It's 3 times a week.
3 times a week, yes, 3 times a week.
Of course, the guy's going to point that out. But it's the equivalent of 7 miles of running.
Which is just extraordinary. So I don't know how many of you would rather, I don't know about me, but I'd certainly rather a bed over running shoes. So it also increases your immunity, your active target cells in the body up to 30%. So there's just so many, health benefits and gifts, never mind creating the intimacy and playfulness in a relationship.
For men, you have a 50% less chance of having a heart attack if you're having sex regularly twice a week.
That's amazing.
And by the way, this doesn't work the same for yourself. For those of you who are thinking creatively, I don't want the complexity of a relationship, because there's the bond of love and passion. So most guys don't need any encouragement on this area. I think that somebody once said that women need a reason to have sex, men just need a place.
And also the gift of Valentine's Day, if you think about it, it's a day when, you put your focus on your lover and, you're romantic, and the thoughtful notes and the kindness and the intimacy or the lighting the candles or going for dinner. All that love doesn't just happen, and it's created by the magic of that awareness and giving each other that gift on a daily basis rather than just one day a year. Our hope for you is that you take this gift and you can implement even a few of these distinctions, that you can create that aliveness and that connectedness and have a loving life or in love life for a lifetime after 12 years for us and many of you I know that are on this path, whether it's just in the beginning or after 40 years. Love can be given and ignited in a moment, and same with passion.
Happy Valentine's Day. Hope we haven't overwhelmed you. We're just talking.
Sorry.
As you can see, this is off the script. This is how we operate. This is how we roll.
It is indeed.
Love to you. Wishing you the greatest blessings in your life. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.